Dobro Pajalovat, hello everybody, to the third matchup of round 1 of Revival Tournament, brought to you by Revival Divisions League, that is us. It is a sunny 24 degrees Celsius for me currently, and most people would consider this perfect weather conditions, but the English part of me is begging for 15 or less. Nonetheless, I hope you're having a wonderful time of day and a climate that brings you joy, and if not, the games we're about to watch will turn that frown right upside down. My name is Mathis, and I'm your host for today. The trailer you saw at the beginning was made by the lovely Torsolman, one of our designers. It is uploaded to YouTube, so if you want to rewatch it, type !YouTube in the chat and you will be directed right to our channel. Not only will you find the channel trailer there, but also other videos, including VODs of every livestream. We multi-stream to Twitch and YouTube simultaneously, so all the more reason to head over to our channel and subscribe to not miss out in case Twitch is not your cup of tea. I personally struggle with navigating around VODs on Twitch, and YouTube just makes it so much easier. Again, !YouTube in the chat, go subscribe. While you're at it, don't forget about our Discord channel. Use !Discord to join the community in case you want to reach out or need to read up on the rule set. Everything you may ever need can be found on the Discord server. Yesterday, we watched Sinners beat PRAXIS in a 2-1 thriller. You might have a couple questions on how exactly the bracket works with 12 teams in the tournament, and considering the bracket was completely randomized, so use the command !challenge in chat if you're not satisfied with what you just saw on screen. Results are posted there quicker than on our graphics, since everything is hand-designed, and on challenge it only takes me a couple clicks, so do take advantage of what challenge has to offer. As you can tell by the images on screen as well, I will not be the one casting today's matchup. I am the humble streamer, and I'm also in charge of the scoreboard, so if anything is delayed, scream at me, not my team, but I prefer that in any situation regardless. If you watched yesterday, you would have already noticed there's a familiar face on screen, namely Volkuz, and this is where we all say hello to him, but I have the privilege of doing so first. So, good evening Volkuz, how are we doing today?
Good evening, Mathis, and everybody watching at home. Here today, we are doing absolutely fine. As you said, it's a little bit toasty today. Some say ideal weather, but yeah, I'm more of a cold-preferring man myself. But regardless, I think these games are gonna be so cool that they're gonna definitely get my body temperature down a little bit here. We have an awesome setup today. Oboy versus Elysium. Super excited to see it, and super excited to be here again to cast with these lovely people.
Really happy to hear. I'm glad we're on the same page there with the weather. And Volkuz is not the only person casting this matchup, as we are also introducing a familiar face to the community, but a new face for us. I'm very happy to say hello to Jules. How's it going?
It's going well, thank you, Mathis. I have had the pleasure of watching the matches back this weekend, and I gotta say the production quality is excellent. Everything has been going so excellently, and I'm very excited to watch the Elysium versus Oboy matches today, which I believe we're starting off with Ghoul on the Ormond Lake Mine, which is your own team's pick, Mathis. If you want to tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, my own team's pick. That's something that... Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people were asking, Mathis is probably gonna give away a better bracket, but no, that is exactly one of the, not just the main reason, but it's a good excuse, because we did have randomized seeding, but it's not just because of my team, we just really wanted to embrace the chaos. Ghoul on Ormond Lake Mine is our Team Oboy's killers' favorite pick in the entire game, so in any tournament setting. So Hope, being the killer main of Oboy, loves that killer, loves the map, plays it constantly practically. Oboy pick it every time they get the opportunity for it, and yeah, the same has also happened this time around. Ghoul does have as any killer, has a pool of 3, but Oboy and Elysium both decided, yeah, this is probably the better map to go with. In case anyone is unfamiliar with the way the pick and bans work, it's always the opponents, so one team picks a killer, then the opponents ban the first map of the 3, and then the team that picked the killer gets to pick one of the 2 remaining maps, and that ended up with Ormond Lake Mine. Probably a no-brainer if from the point of view from Oboy, because it's the map they have the most practice and experience on. As I said, they practically, or we, I guess, pick this killer and map practically whenever we have it available. Is there anything that you would like to add about Ghoul on Ormond Lake Mine? Obviously, I'm just speaking from my own experience here. This is a popular pick in comp, if I'm not mistaken, right, Volkuz?
Yeah, very popular, and it's my absolute favorite also. So I must say, me and Hope, I'm gonna call him Twin from now on. Me and Twin, me and Hope, we are one and the same. Yeah, Ghoul, one of my main killers that I love to play, and definitely my favorite killer to watch. I just love Ghoul overall. I think he's such a misunderstood killer by a lot of the pub exclusive players, which is completely understandable. Ghoul on release was a major problem, and he has a bit of a stigma around him. But I think if anybody is working the hardest right now to bring Ghoul back into a positive spotlight, it's Comp, because Ghoul on Ormond Lake Mine has been so popular. You see every team has a pick that like this. So for example, you have like Nightlight's pick of Ormond Lake Mine Ghoul on Invictus that always performs really well. You have X9 Angels always likes to play Ghoul, and I think a Ghoul is it's a specific killer. It has a specific flavor of mechanics and a version of outplaying survivors that is. It requires a lot of mechanical practice, and it's so much experience as well that you need to play around it. Ormond Lake Mine is a map that has a lot of changes in elevation, which can enhance your slingshot if you can aim it properly. It has a main building that is very quickly also accessible by the Ghoul from top mid. So many techs, so many people have found and worked around it as we've had the map in comp for longer and longer to find out ways to outplay. Even the gold palettes, you can look at outplaying somehow with the Ghoul. You can try a lot of things, and it's just one of those killers. When something works out, it's so satisfying, but when it doesn't work out, also the survivors get to really show off their skills, whether it was timing revolts, although now that's a bit easier. Back in the day, it was a bit harder to time the revolts. Now it's pretty easy, but then after that, playing their M1 chases, showing off the fundamentals, and yeah, I absolutely love the Ghoul, and I'm certain Jules will say the same thing.
Yeah, I actually don't dislike the Ghoul at all.
Thank God.
He's quite thank God. I mean, yeah, I think Ghoul, I mean, not obviously my top 10, but not anywhere close to the bottom either. He's very fun to play against, very fun to play as well. Like you said, Ormond Lake Mine, very open map, great for tags, great for the Ghoul to get some good mobility around the map as well. And I know we have historically had the Ghoul on the Blood Lodge map, which a lot more obstacles in the way, a lot of safer palettes, I'd like to say. I think Ormond Lake Mine is a lot better for M1 killers. There's a lot more unsafe palettes, and though the tiles might spawn RNG-wise a little bit stronger sometimes, it really is just a coin flip there. But Blood Lodge just guaranteed to have a safe main building, a safe shack, a lot of safe fillers, at least 3 safe tiles, and just a lot more. So I'm kind of happy about the Ormond Lake Mine pick, because I always like to see higher 4Ks, more 4Ks in general, which we did see a lot of yesterday, Volkuz. I know you cast that as well. If you want to give us a recap.
Yeah, absolutely. Yesterday was an incredible match. We had Sinners versus Praxis. Sinners came out on top in the end, but it was so hard for Jules. The entire time I was on the edge of my seat, and I think Cyber and I, who is not here with us unfortunately today, well, we both were super into it, and there was just at every step, it was one of those sets that you see it and you kind of just admire how well both sides are playing. That's my favorite type of set to watch in comp. It's when you have close games and both sides are playing well, but when there's the slightest mistake, the other side can take over. And also, I was you mentioned Ghoul being on Blood Lodge, right? I was so team get Ghoul off of Blood Lodge for the longest time, because that map is, I honestly don't feel like any killer should be on the map. That map is just so, not even because of the fact that it's big and it can be strong for survivors, that's one facet, but it's so RNG dependent, and it can spawn some absolutely insane versions with some linked fillers. If you have good tiles, you can have 2 cranes, good tiles, linking fillers, and it becomes just such a nightmare on both sides of the map as well. It doesn't really feel like there's much of a dead zone, apart from maybe where you will get a little hill spawning, but that's sometimes either next to shack or amongst a million different fillers, so it doesn't even feel that unsafe even when you get to that point. So yeah, I think Ormond Lake Mine, it's a more static map overall. So you have your gold palette at 11, you have your gold palette in main, you have your X-size palette, which is technically a gold palette on same ping. Then you have what is it? You have your tile, you have your tunnel palettes, your palette on 6, which is the one on top of the little frost covered tunnel, you know, the one that can always link into shack as well. And then so having these resources that spawn very same, they're always going to be there, minimizes the risk of RNG messing you up, unlike how it can happen in Blood Lodge, where the RNG can just be complete night and day. And even though you do have a few stable structures that you can always run to, it can just, orientations can be very poor, things can always be very poor. But in In normal Lake Mine, you die top, okay, fantastic. We can go through main, we can go through 11, and really get good use out of that and get decent chases. You want to die bottom, okay, that's fine. You can use the tunnel pallet, and you can use you can use Shack, and then you will be absolutely fine. So I like, even though RNG is very exciting and it can add a lot of variety and spice to the game, I do also like to see, for a killer that's not particularly that good in chase technically, with Ghoul being as is right now, being at its core an M1 killer to get the downs, even though he gets very easy tags, I like to see that that there is not as much potential for the RNG to just go absolutely crazy and mess up our game.
Yeah, and there's a very high amount of static RNG on Ormond Lake Mine too, even though it is like the tiles themselves are for sure anything except for the bottom mid, which I believe is only a pallet gem or a TL, the tile in the bottom
Yes.
middle of the map. But the main building RNG has all of the same static pallet spawns, and I think with full exhaustion allowed, which we have here, we even have Dead Hard available. We have balanced landing, that BL player can work the main building pretty safely. Often there's a top mid generator, which quite often is actually a solo gen, which you might not want to work if it is a solo generator. It can be a little bit risky and sometimes doesn't even get done in the Ghoul set here. But even those unsafe gens in the middle of the map or isolated over at 8 maybe, might be a little bit safer for sprinters to work, for example. So having full exhaustion against the Ghoul definitely makes it a little bit easier for survivors, but Ghoul does not have the worst balancing either on his end, right? He has hexes allowed, he has pain res allowed as well, some pretty good perks allowed in this particular league. So this could really just go either way, Volkuz. And Ghoul, typically on typical balancing, I think can get maybe 4K1 to stages out, high stages perhaps. But we're gonna have to see, because with all the 4Ks yesterday and even on Saturday as well, just can really do anything here.
Yeah, I feel like when you give both sides stronger perks, players really come out swinging. They have that bloodlust going from the get go, right? They always are playing for the 4K. They're putting out so much pressure as well. The map pressure, for example, yesterday we were seeing from We Jason, for example, on Blight playing around map pressure a lot. Same with Obi, and overall, I think the fact that some of the more on the S tier killers, more on the tier 1 killers, maybe not so much on the Ghoul. We're not going to see a shoulder the burden or a deliverance, I believe, on this balancing. So more on the other killers, we can definitely get a lot of map pressure going and balance your tunnel out versus map pressure priorities accordingly. But yeah, Ghoul definitely can struggle to keep up with full exhaustions, as you said. He does have great perks on his side, but the chases are what it's going to be down to at the end of the day. The Ghoul, he already has a great tool in his disposal to be able to traverse the map in the form of the slingshot tech. For those of you that might not know, it's when you're in enrage mode, then you can use your first and second dashes with proper timing and along the right topology to get yourself flung across the entire map at Mach 27, and the survivors have to be expecting it. You can't really react to it if you do it properly, and this allows for an extra layer of strategical play that I always really love to see. You can have committing a chase, for example, top mid, the chase is going towards 1, and the tiles, you might have a double pally, you might have a jungle gym there, and the Ghoul doesn't like that. The Ghoul can simply turn around, slingshot, and suddenly, boom, we're top mid, bottom mid. We can be pressuring Shack. So the survivors really need to keep on their toes to make sure that they can always respond accordingly, that they can predict and respond accordingly, and be ready. And if what Mathis says is true, and Hope is a very, very seasoned, I must say, I haven't had the pleasure of watching Team Oboy play many official games, forgive me. But if Hope is as powerful and confident on the Ghoul as we are being told, then we are in for a hell of a match there.
Yeah, and I don't often see Elysium pick the Ghoul set either, so maybe this is a great pick against them. I actually can't remember the last time I saw Elysium play a Ghoul set with the current roster. So this could be quite interesting. A lot of Elysium's picks are on other maps, not quite the Ghoul killer, but I know that they are very proficient in essentially every killer. They have Zeno and Zaka, two very, very good killer players, very seasoned, have been in the scene for years and years and years, and have proven themselves time and again on every single killer in the game together. And I actually don't know out of the two of them who is going to be playing the Ghoul, but Hope, like you said, like Mathis said as well, very, very seasoned on that killer. So I'm expecting a lot. We're going to have to see.
Yeah, I can kind of answer you I can answer both your questions, actually, in a bit of a strange way. I casted Elysium a couple weeks ago. They played the Ghoul, it was in DBD League. It was versus X9. It was the day when they had the Mondial World Cup was happening. So both so a lot of their team were missing. Zaka and Ivan was missing it the day. They didn't do very well. It was Zeno and the Ghoul, but I know Zaka also likes the Ghoul, but I'm not sure if he feels that his Ghoul is quite comp ready. I think more likely than not we're going to be seeing Zeno on the Ghoul. If he's here today, I'm sure he will be. And he has a lot of experience. He's very proficient in mechanically on the killer and knows a lot about it in general. Another thing I want to talk about actually is, apart from we have us having Ormond Lake Mine Ghoul, which is kind of more standard side of things, we have Oni Shelter Woods 1. Okay, Elysium's pick, Oni Shelter Woods. And of course, Zaka is arguably the greatest Oni player in the world. He's proven it time and time again. He's so incredibly consistent there. Very, very strong on it. But Shelter Woods 1, the moment I heard that, I was immediately, my brain immediately went to, okay, this is going to be a massacre for the Survivor side. The Survivor side are going to absolutely destroy. Shelter Woods 1 is a map that I've seen before given to Billy. I've seen it given to Blight, mostly in DBD ranked context. But having to play M1 Chase on Shelter Woods 1 sounds like an absolute nightmare, especially with exhaustions allowed. Of course, Zaka does have hexes at his disposal. Also, he could be giving us a ruin crowd control type thing, shut down the main building quite effectively. But a lot of good tiles and pallets can spawn on the map. Classic Macmillan stuff can happen, but it's very densely packed. It's quite a big map also. So how would you approach it, Jules? The Shelter Woods Oni pick. How does it scream in your head?
Yeah, like you said, there's just so many pallets, so many tiles on that map. There's a tile 1, there's a tile 2, 5, 7, I believe as well. 4 tiles, and also the main building, the shack. Just so much to run to, and so many filler pallets in between. So the Oni might have quite a few minutes before they get the first hit. Honestly, I would not be surprised if it takes quite a while against teams of this caliber. However, once the Oni has its power, definitely a lot of an easier feat. Shelter Woods, not the smallest map in the world, pretty large actually, but can have some pretty tough gen spreads sometimes. Usually topside, honestly, I see generators behind the main building, and as well, main of course is a guaranteed spawn. And I mean, really could just depend on that first hit, Volkuz. And like you said, that's just an M1 killer. That's just an M1 killer for the first couple minutes of the game. And I have no doubt that these Survivor teams are going to make it very, very difficult for the Oni killer, playing Shack into a filler, into 5, maybe into another filler, into 2. You can just rotate around the map over and over and over again and can never run out of resources for the entirety of the match. So I would not be surprised by incredibly low stages because, like you said, there's also exhaustions allowed. There's a lot allowed on the Survivor end. I don't even know if crowd control is going to do too much because most of the tough spots are just filler pallets, right? But I guess we'll have to see. I like you said, I've only seen Billy and Blight on this map. I've never seen Oni on this map before, so I don't know exactly what to expect, but I would not be surprised by low stages.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I mean, that's kind of the thought process that I'm following also. Yeah, the good thing is there's not many particularly. I can't think of any map-specific god palettes that can spawn. They have a couple strong palettes, but there's no must-break palettes, so maybe we're just bloodlusting our absolute booty off. I don't know. It's gonna be crazy. I'm not exactly sure what to expect, and I did actually get some word externally. If Bandit can be trusted, hello Bandit. That it's Zeno is not going to be joining us here today, so everything is going to be played by Zaka. So having Zaka on the Ghoul, as I said again. I've seen him play. He's obviously very, very strong. It's still Zaka at the end of the day, but I know maybe his confidence isn't going to be the highest on the Ghoul, but it's definitely going to be there on Oni. I would not be wanting to start Oni by sensing the win condition, Jules. I would definitely be wanting to play for the win condition if I am Zaka, just to see how hard I need to play for the chases. If I need to just bloodlust the first chase as hard as possible, if I can afford to rotate a little bit, and of course depending on the build that he's going to be bringing in today, it could be an absolute lot of difficult scenarios coming up for Shelter Woods 1 Oni. And our tiebreaker, so we said we have Ormond Lake Mine Ghoul, we have Shelter Woods 1 Oni, and then we have Disturbed World Mastermind. Now, Disturbed World Mastermind is something we saw before in the BD League Winter Circuit, and I think that went exactly how everybody expected that to go, which was the Mastermind was just suffocated by the size, the layout, and the palette density of that map. So I expect to see something similar. Again, Mastermind, quite strong killer in chase. You don't tend to be able to last very long against him, but the map is just abysmally huge. You can always use your exhaustion. Even if you get thrown, you could just go to the unless you get thrown edge map and 2-tapped immediately out of position. It's just so brutal, and I feel like having these maps be what they are and posing such obstacles to our killers adds another layer of tacticality. That's not the right word, but another layer of tactics. There you go. That our killer players will need to be thinking about in order to be hunting for these best results. Now, it's obviously possible that the survivor side can just pop off and there's not much we can do. But yeah, giving killers maps that you normally don't find them on and that are on paper more challenging, I think definitely makes for an interesting spin on the events that we're going to be watching here today.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. And Mastermind on that map, I mean, Mastermind recently got quite a bit of a change, and I don't think we saw that in the winter circuit. But we will be seeing this map. We will be seeing maybe a 4K, like you said. It's a slim chance, but I would expect it could happen. Maybe a throw or two could happen. Some good camp out, some pressure by the killer. Maybe the new changes to Disturbed Ward. I believe we cut the deep pockets a little bit. Which did show previously over the winter, but maybe will happen again, and we'll have to see. But the RNG here, a lot of the main building palettes have been taken away recently. There is an upstairs main palette guaranteed, but that is the only god palette in the main building, and then we have 2 windows as well. So yeah, the RNG, like you said, can be a little bit more in the survivor's favor, but at least the Mastermind got buffs, at least Disturbed Ward got a little bit of a nerf, so at least that is there. And we are going to be heading into the match now. We are heading into the Ghoul on the Ormond Lake. Just to reiterate there, with Hope on the killer for Team Oboy, Elysium on the survivor, and we will be playing for our best result here as we are setting the win con. Volkuz, take us into the match.
Oh, with pleasure. And before we actually step into the matches we're going to be loading in just a second, we should also point out you will see an unfamiliar name on your scoreboard. We have Cobj actually being e-subbed in for Elysium. Unfortunately, a couple of the players couldn't make it today, so they've brought in Cobj. And Cobj actually played e-subbed in for Invictus as well a few weeks ago, so he's getting his tryout on the top teams here, and I'm sure he's excited to come and show us what he's made of. And now we're starting off, as we said, Hope on the killer. We can already see, yeah, we have the BL Dead Hard on Zaka, so some form of anti-tunnel as the first bite comes in, but we're sitting pretty here. Again, versus Ghoul, the first bite, the first tag is kind of just impossible. What is it? It's kind of impossible not to, to avoid. So Hope happy to take it, and Zaka kind of happy to give it. Not really much to do in that situation. Just take your tag, go to a good position. If the Ghoul decides to do it, then no worries, it can commit. If not, that's fine. We can have a normal M1 chase. We can already see Tech positioned nicely at 11 with that gold palette next to him as Hope makes his way to the top of the main building. Going to be looking for this bite onto Cobj. Zaka already meant it, so now we're on a timer for our enraged mode. Cobj running the very beautiful new fake legacy cosmetic as well. I think it looks quite nice. Is he going to be getting bitten now? Yeah, I think that's going to be kind of inevitable. And I think now, if we don't have any info of any other survivors, Hope will more likely than not be looking to commit this. We do actually have Zaka here also, so this is kind of a difficult situation with both survivors here. This is probably going to be the Shack palette getting used quite quickly. Very big risk there from Cobj, risking getting cut off in the beginning, but we're just going to take off the gold palette and hopefully make it somewhere with this live.
Yeah, Cobj doing a little loop-loop at the Shack kind of confuses Hope a little bit and makes it back to safety. Actually, he is going to be playing this very unsafe filler now and will be going down over the pallet. That will be the first down of the game. But yeah, Hope doing a good job of spreading out infections there. I say infections, tags. Zaka being injured. There could have been a little bit of fiasco at the Shack for a second there, but they recovered it quite nicely. And we are getting the LARPacy Dwight on the hook, I've heard it called. Getting that first hook, and that is Grim Embrace coming through as well. Zaka playing safe on the main building. He does have balance landing and made for this if he enters the men's stay anytime soon, which he might in a second if we get that M2 tag on him. But we are quite safe for now with that exhaustion perk. So excellently placed by Zaka. We're playing as safe as possible. We do not want to give a down at this point in the trial, especially with our teammate on the hook. And I wonder Okay, we are going to be going back at the hook. We do still want to tunnel despite the Grim Embrace and Pain Res, which I don't think is a terrible idea, but this is a heal coming through. Actually, it could have been Resurgence, could have been Will Make It as well, which looks like, yeah, Pedro does have the Will Make It perk, will be taking the hit for their teammate. And Pedro, I think he also has Resurgence, so he is the player who gets heals faster and gets healed faster. So just a guaranteed faster heal there on the hook. And we are in chase with our tunnel out, which I think they already used Light. They are playing the Shack without the pallet, so most likely going to be getting a tag soon, but he's playing the Shack excellently, even blocks off the window, and will be taking that M1, I think, in a second, and going up the map towards where the generators have already popped.
Yeah, Kobje, the person, even though he's been hooked once already, this is the person you want to be seeing in chase. He has resilience at his hand, he has light, he's already used to make a decent amount of distance. Hope actually perfectly outplaying the double pallet setup. They're really, really difficult to outplay that. You cannot give the survivor a chance to draw both the pallets, otherwise you simply must break one. It becomes kind of a gold pallet setup there. Now we see that so far Elysium is about to pop the main gen. They've already popped the 11 gen, so if we have any gens bottom, I haven't quite looked here for Hope, so if he has any gens bottom, this is going to be the setup that he's going to have in mind. Was unable to bite Kobje earlier, unfortunately, simply due to an auto-aim error that can happen quite often with the Ghoul. So we can see, though, from this chase happening here in the main building, great vantage point to see that there is actually quite a lot of gens still left around the bottom mid side of the map, and Ghoul definitely able to pressure those. We're going to be getting rid of another good pallet, and this is all very good for Hope right now. Getting rid of as many good pallets as possible. He needs to use his game sense to go back in time to interrupt the unhook. Great read on Pedro Age's timing. Of course, he knew that the plot twist was in play, and that Pedro Age, the moment he got healed up, would most likely than not be going for this unhook, but being able to interrupt it is definitely a good idea here. Can we get that? Oh, does he get the pop? He doesn't quite get the pop. Very last second, and now needs to go back as Kobje finally getting pulled off of this hook. Going to be going down to 2 generators, but if Kobje dies now, this is still a very, very playable position for Hope, having one survivor dead with 2 generators remaining. Zaka also injured, probably going to be looking to get reset for the 3v1 if there's some free time around, or maybe we even want to try to support Kobje's chase. However, it seems that our survivors are more interested in the gen in the gen situation. Tech coming on from the sidelines to take a hit for Kobje. The more we can elongate this tunnel out chase, the absolute better it will be for our team here. Kobje going up, but the excise pallet has already been used by Zaka earlier, so just has this little filler to play with. Doesn't want to let him jiggy away from it, and gets mind game there slightly on the M1. Kobje plays out of the middle list, so maybe a little bit of ping there to influence his decision making time. But that's another generator, and now we're halfway done on the final generator, so this is a very, very good position for Ellie. Hope is going to have to put in a lot of work if he wants to glide his way towards a 4K.
Ooh, that swing barely missing. On Hanato here, he's going to be playing this tile, which I don't believe was dropped quite yet, this tile over at 1. And this generator over at Shack has quite a bit of progress on it, but Blastmine has been installed by Zaka. So he will be getting a pleasant surprise here over at the Shack as he kicks this generator. And now we are going to be playing injured. It looks like Tech just sitting on that generator topside with 1 health state missing, and going to be maybe looking around for the survivor over here at Shack, which I believe was Zaka. And is he still here? No, it actually looks like it was Pedro, our healthy survivor, playing edge map with a fog vial, and is going to be dropping that fog vial, taking a hit, taking some distance as well. He has no exhaustion perks to help gain any distance. He has a lot of altruistic perks, a lot of self-healing perks, but no exhaustion, and going to be just playing the Shack. And Volkuz, it looks like there's a little bit of a 3-gen on the right side of the map between Shack, I think 4-ish, and 2. And we have 2 survivors over here. Tech going to be sending it away with Sprimpers, but Zaka will be going down in the meantime.
Yeah, as you said, we do have this right side sort of 3-gen playing here, bottom right side 3-gen. I don't believe Tech makes that vault, but great play, great fake out by Tech there to buy himself a few more precious seconds of life. Wins another 50-50 almost situation. It's also noted that on this map, the tiles that can spawn here with this specific architecture of wood and stone they have around them, you can kind of see between them, so it's a bit easier to check for the survivors here. However, we're going to get another down here, not looking to pick up, even though the pickup just happened. We want to put more pressure on right now. If Pedro goes down right now, I think this is going to be a 4K1. What a fast way to snowball you into the game. I think a bit of maybe a lack of coordination there on Elysium survivor side to be able to get far and away in time and get that pickup. It's going to be unfortunate. Zaka is going to need to make an absolute Houdini play right now. Hope, that's not a that's air. Hope, no. Okay, this is the play they needed. Now Zaka can actually get the pickup. I think Hope will be very, very upset.
Wait. I mean, maybe we get the mate for this off as well. This is, yeah, Zaka's able to take a hit. He uses his exhaustion here
Oh my
to
God.
make a lot of distance, and that will be made for this, keeping them in the trial because we're still in the game. We are probably able to force locker here. Yeah, Zaka has to force that locker if we want our teammates to get picked up in time. So there's two standing now, one on the floor. And we are, yeah, there's no resources over here. That pallet gem there was dropped, so any chases in that area, you essentially just have to die corner or force locker, and a little bit rough for the survivors there, but they are able to recover this. Technically, it's still Grim Embrace for a few more seconds. We only have 2 stacks remaining on Grim Embrace, 2 stacks used on our tunnel out and on Zaka, and that's going to be Tech. He has sprint burst almost 99. There he has to walk for just a few seconds, but we are going to be going back to the hook. We're going back to Zaka and Pedro HC, who, I mean, Zaka has BT for a few more seconds. Pedro has the shack with no shack pallet, so this might be a little bit of a faster chase. But he's working around this window with expertise. He's playing this so well, but Ghoul on the shack can be a little bit tricky, but he kind of messes up the dash there, so Pedro does make the window, is going to make a little bit of distance, and this pallet here was dropped, but it has not been broken. Yeah, he's just gonna have to leave. He's having to leave now, but they got the reset fully between the other 2 survivors, and now we're back to breaking the 3-gen.
Yeah, Ghoul on the shack, as you said, can be pretty lethal, but without that enraged mode to help him out, there's not really too much you can do. Only having the one longer dash and the one insta dash available to him finally gets that enraged off of Tech, but if he's to commit this chase onto Tech, I don't believe he will want to. Sometimes it just happens where one specific player on the opposing survivor team just kind of has you, he's a bit in your brain, so you don't feel like you can commit him as much. And now Pedro HZ gonna be called out working this shack generator. Nice double back there from Hope, but I don't think it will count for much. Another double back here, but Pedro is too strong on the check spots. The ladder arc is paying off, and now I believe we're in the situation where we need to get it down and get some pressure this way, especially with the Pain Res Grim going to be happening, and I don't think Pedro HZ has any options left to him here apart from go. Edge map die. Gonna use the Fog Vial just in case that confuses our that may confuse our killer player, and it looks like we are going to be slugging this great thought process there from Hope to be able to know just exactly how long he might have left on this generator. Tech going to be using that sprint burst to get away for now, and Zaka also kind of a bit far away from the situation. Now Hope can either commit on to Zaka here, try to get for it down and go for this 4k1 right now, or maybe even try to go and pick up Pedro HC, but it seems like he's going to be able to get it down. No, never mind. What a great dead hard coming out from Zaka. I almost forgot he had it in play, and yeah, very, very smart. Hope immediately leaving that situation right now. Pedro HC ready to be picked up, so maybe Zaka will be going for that as, yes, Tech's down is inevitable, and now we can a bit more comfortably get a pickup and another Grim Pain Res going right now. Still Pedro HC on the fresh, so still a lot of potential here, but it looks like Elysium survivors are very aware of how they want to play around this situation, and they're just keeping the pressure on. They have 2 very high progress generators, and it's dangerous right now for Hope.
Yeah, Grim Embrace once again going to be blocking the generators though, and here we're seeing how the stronger survivor balancing is coming into play. We would have been 4K'd already if Made for This wasn't allowed, if some perks like Dead Hard maybe weren't allowed. A lot of these stronger perks just helping out the survivors a lot, and they're doing an excellent job at utilizing them properly, and we are, I mean, these gens have a lot of progress, Volkuz. Like, I'm pretty sure the Shack gen is at least 60%, and this double generator that Zaka and Tech have been working on, it's very, very close to popping. And yeah, I mean, there's no eruption either, I believe, in our arsenal. We have pop, which means we have to get it down to use it, though. So this is an excellent stun by Zaka on the main building. We still have Made for This available. We're still in the men state, so he's moving a little bit faster, and I think that actually might have gotten them the stun there, but both of these gens super, super high on progress. I just don't think it's possible for Hope to stop them both.
No, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. His only real possible sort of saving grace, and exactly Elysium knows this, so they're going to force Locker as fast as possible, is to go get Pedro HZ down, get that final Pain Res Grim going, and use those 40 seconds of Grim to be able to get a snowball. But now he's going to be heading back to the shack anyway to try to collect up on the last fresh, I would expect. Unless, maybe not, I would have thought he would have already gone back by now. However, we're more likely than not going to be popping that, yeah. So 4k1 was not really, it was in the cards, then a slight mechanical misplay from Hope kind of threw it away, then Made for This came and threw it away. So now we just want to get Pedro down and get as many stages on the board as possible. But as we said, Julia, with this amount of serve perks available, with this balancing, the 4k looks a bit less likely than it would on your average Ghoul game.
Yeah, Hope still played this excellently, though. I think the tunnel out on Kobje just came through a little bit faster, maybe than Elysium was hoping for. I think a lot of 50s won, a lot of mind games, and very excellent Ghoul play, very excellent cutoffs. Just getting those 2 injuries at the start from 2 different survivors. I believe Zaka was the first injured, and now we're just going to be camping this survivor in the basement for the 9 stage 4 fresh, which is, I believe, the best result that Hope can hope for right now. If we do venture out, try to get a different survivor, there is a chance that the other one will pull. So he's just playing it safe, taking his hook in the basement. I don't think that's a terrible idea, but these survivors will be out of the trial, unless on the off chance that maybe Tech tries to trade in the basement for the extra stage. It is possible. I think it looks like they actually might be going for it. Zaka looks like he wants to move in. We also do have Sprint Burst on Tech and Balance Landing available on Zaka, which are kind of the 2 perks that we need here, given it is in the basement, on the basement stairs. And Tech maybe going to be using that Sprint Burst now to go into the shack. Yeah, he's sending it. He's going to be trying to trade, and we get the stun by Zaka, which does hinder him a little bit. So that will be a trade for sure. And if we even want to get our second survivor Tech down in the basement, we have to maybe venture into the corner, get him to force locker or something. And Hope wants the first stage survivor. He doesn't want Tech. He wants to get this Adam here, I believe, and gonna be playing around this filler. We do have a body block available by Zaka, and Pedro does not have any exhaustion perks really to help him out, but he has a teammate, and that's going to be a Ghoul Dash trying to get in front of him, and he actually succeeded, I think. But Tech maybe takes the down here. No, he doesn't actually manage it, so that will be Pedro on the ground. We didn't plot twist or anything. And the question is Zaka able to maybe get the pickup here in time? But I don't think we're going to be trying for it. It looks like Pedro just wants to be crawling, and of course he is the For the People survivor. So Zaka won't be getting the FTP, but maybe the Firecracker coming through. Volkuz we get the Firecracker!
Who has the cracker? It's Zaka! Zaka with the cracker ready to get the max amount of stages out. Holy... 8 stages instead of 9. That's actually quite a different result. That is a very different result in terms of how the game can play out. So well played from Zaka there. Look at the patience he had there. And Hope, I think he made a couple desperation plays towards the end. I feel like the letting Zaka get the stun on him, the entry into basement, all of that. He was just trying his best to secure as many the best situation that he could for himself, and unfortunately was not able to do so. And maybe that last bit of panic of like, oh, Pedro's still here, he doesn't make it out, let me just pick him up, allowed Zaka, who was definitely the more composed of the two, to swoop in, get that flashbang save, and able to secure that 1 extra stage going out the door, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it definitely is. He can play very, very well into the situations that are... I'm sure you will see the effect it has come on to the next match. But yeah, overall, I think Hope did a great job. I'm definitely not going to discredit him and say that he played poorly. Absolutely not. He made 1 mistake that cost him the 4K one, which was flying off of that main building and allowing Zaka to go for the people. No, sorry, the mate for this pickup. But I mean, mistakes happen and you have to be ready to adjust to them. Overall, not being able to secure that 4K one, still getting 8 stages is a decent result, and I'm sure Zaka is not going to have an easy time playing for that on the flip side.
Yeah, and we're looking at this replay, and I mean, Hope did an excellent job of getting around the body blocks from Tech there. Tech tried to wedge themselves in between the survivor trying to exit through the gate, but didn't quite manage it. Hope managed to get around, but it still ended up in just the Hanato dying. Regardless of what happened, the outcome was the same, it looked like. So yeah, I mean, very excellent job by our survivors, very excellent job by our killer, but like you said, that 1 misplay cost him the 4K, but still the game not entirely lost. 9 stages would have been nice, but 8 stages is not bad either, I don't think, especially on 4 fresh survivors, on Ghoul, on this balancing. Ormond Lake Mine can be a little bit tough sometimes, but I think it's not out of the realm of possibility to get an 8 stage, maybe a 9 stage in the next trial. And yeah, for these survivors, I mean, like we said, this is one of their favorite sets. This is one of their most commonly picked sets. So they are very proficient in the survivor area on the Ghoul, on the Ormond Lake Mine. This is also their map pick. So I think we are going to be maybe seeing kind of a tough set for the next killer, perhaps, because this is, like we said, quite a few stages.
Yeah, a lot of stages to get overall, and I think when you're playing for this amount of stages, the good thing is that if Zaka has brought Grim Embrace, that's going to go absolutely crazy for him. Being able to play for those 4 fresh hooks and getting value out of going for that playstyle might actually be quite huge for him. It will all depend on how his mechanics are looking today. Don't know how much time he's had to warm up his Ghoul, but yeah, if he's clean on his mechanics, he can absolutely play off into from that. So yeah, I'll be very, very excited to see what he is going to show us here. Very, very experienced, and can't wait to see it.
Yeah,
You guys already hinted, sorry to interrupt, but you guys already hinted at this mid-game, this one play that occurred with, that sort of just ruined the game for Hope, because he was so close to achieving this 4K1, and then, yeah, he flew off main building. Let us fast forward a little bit, yeah, right here. Zaka is the last man standing, Hope tries to catch up, and this happens. It's a bit hard not to laugh at it, because it does look very goofy, and it's so unfortunate, especially with the mate for this as well that you guys pointed out.
I mean, maybe we get the mate for this off as well.
It's such a difficult place to be. It's such a difficult sort of just a very small mechanical mistake. It looks huge on the result of it, but it really is very easy to just overshot his second lunge a little bit there, his second tentacle, and ended up flying off of that. So Mathis, tell us, how is the team chat going to be looking later? Are we going to make gifs of this?
You know what? Let me have a look right now if there's any interactions. But it's probably just all happening in VC right now. I can't imagine that a certain couple candidates were snickering as they watched that unfold. Can't imagine exactly who, but yeah, we are already going into the next match right now. But yeah, I can imagine if it's not one of my teammates, then I'm gonna be the one rubbing this under his nose.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a little hope watch out gift. Hopefully not for their sake, but we are heading into the next match, like we said. It's going to be Elysium on the Ghoul. We have your team, Oboy, on the Survivor, and I mean, you don't have very much time at this, but do you have any strats that Oboy has on this set? Maybe they're very familiar, so you have some insight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they like stealthing out Corrupt entirely at the start. That is something we did in previous tournament. No, it actually worked really well. We ended up 4-staging that round. So we might see something similar here.
Okay. Yeah, very, very excellent. We are going to be loading in now. We have a very similar build, however, it looks like Turn Back the Clock is in our arsenal this time, which I think is a great idea. I think we had pop in the previous trial. I didn't see a crazy amount of pop value, more so during our tunnel out, and we got, I think, 3 extra stages for it in the 3v1 when it mattered, at least. And we are going to be looking around. Zaka just looking in the edge map here, and yeah, it looks like you are correct. We are very much stealthing out our Corrupt here, trying not to be found as we work our way up the map. I think getting any sort of extra tags here wouldn't be the best, so I don't hate this idea at all. Spreading out pressure at the beginning for the Ghoul is very, very important, and Zaka looks like that is what he wants to do. He's looking for survivors, needs to find a quick chase, and this gen has a tiny bit of progress on it, so we do know that somebody is somewhere in the area, but where have they gone?
I almost thought Mathis was joking for a second when he said that they were going to be stealthing out Corrupt. I can't say I've seen that strategy being employed before on the Ghoul. Finally, the first tag is going to be coming out, but yeah, as you said, the Ghoul really excels at cutting off early game rotations, really excels at getting a lot of pressure early game, so it almost feels quite natural to want to deny him that. So you know what, very, very well played by Team Oboy. They're getting that extra little bit of time, and look how efficiently they've rotated. They're all on generators, and I believe we're stacking this 11 gen. We've got somebody on main. First chase from Hope isn't able to go quite as smoothly perhaps as they would have liked. They're not going to be able to get that first stack pop. That is one of the problems with stealthing out the Corrupt. If you're in a good stealth spot and then a chase happens to begin and then you get committed, what you need to have a kind of a good chase to be able to, no pun intended, slingshot your team forward into a better early game position. But alas, this is not bad at all. The Grim Embrace going to be coming out. Zaka looking for a survivor that was previously maybe around this area, isn't able to find them just yet. We know, we can see them stealthing off on the side here. Francesco very comfortably just sitting on the main gen, keep putting that pressure on, even though his teammate Hope is hooked right underneath him. Finally, we're able to find Rez on the edge map here, just stealthing. Going to take that bite, and I'm going to be looking to see if anybody may be going in for a fast pull here, seeing as there's 2 pretty active generators between these hooks. So we're going to get this tag on our savior right now, and more likely than not Honestly, Zaka can very comfortably commit this. It's up to him completely whether he wants to go for the tunnel or on to Hope. But considering they don't have that much gen pressure, I think that is the better play. But yes, definitely has options for both. Being caught on the short side of this pallet is not what you want. This is guaranteed death. Unable to make that life to get the extra distance. And I must say right now, it's not looking very good for Team Oboy, as Hope is going to be going into his second stage with only one gen complete. Maybe going to be too soon, but again, this is a lot of pressure on Zaka's side.
Yeah, that pallet there on the hill, much safer if you are rotating the longer side, but unfortunately for Hope, stuck on the short side. Did have the life perk, but the life does not work if you get hit right as you vault, which is what happened there. So very unfortunate. It's Ghoul player versus Ghoul player, and only one has come out on top so far, but we do have a third chase to go, so maybe we'll see something. We do have quite a few resources left on the map. We are trying to get the reset here onto our ace, who did take a tag for that unhook earlier, and this is not looking too great. It really just depends on Hope's next chase. We have gotten everyone all reset, which is good for the survivors, but I'm wondering about the gen pressure. And turn back the clock also still available, but Zaka looks like he does want to stay a little bit closer to the hook now, wants to make sure that this hook does not come through for free. We do not want to get an unhook. We are in a great spot, and that is one of the only ways we give the survivors any sort of pressure right now. So Zaka with an excellent decision there to stay close to the hook, I think, and look at all these gens in this area as well. There's really no reason to leave.
Yeah, such a densely populated mid-map on this map that you can get with generators. A lot of the time you look to stack one of the more middle generators if you can link it to some possible 3-gen, but alas, this time it's not going to be the case. I am being told from our beautiful referees here that Hope unfortunately has brought a banned perk into the trial, therefore that will be a half hook stage penalty being applied onto Oboy. So now Zaka, instead of needing the 9 stages for fresh, technically only needs 8.5, so which means if he gets 9 stages, that is going to be a win for Team Elysium on this very set here. And Hope, the way this game is going, I'm predicting a lot more than just 9 stages here. Hope getting fully tunneled out. We don't even have our second generator 100% ready to pop. It will pop by the time Zaka can get there, more likely than not. However, yeah, there's just everything going right for Zaka right now. Hope hasn't been able to have the best chases here, and every time Zaka is not in chase, he's doing a great job pressuring the survivors off of these generators, and he's honestly quite content with leaving this 11 gen to pop. Is not really bothered by it. He has this bottom side gen split. He has this bottom side gen split here, bottom mid, and the couple bottom gens there, so he can very comfortably play for those. Just wants to put maybe get a bite on the map, get a bit more pressure, just going in terms of injuries, which of course the Ghoul can dish out. Make sure he's in that enraged mode, because then that gives him access to the slingshot tech and really unlocks that absurd Ghoul map mobility. Francesco starting to work on the gen a little bit. I am sure that 0.5% progress will matter. Gets a fast fold. Zaka pre-swings for it, fully anticipated it, but was not able to actually connect. However, the shack window now blocking leaves, so we only can use this little filler pallet here, and not having the distance of dropping makes it a 50-50 pallet camp situation. Francesco currently winning this situation for stuff and buying some valuable time right now for his team to be able to put some more pressure on the extra generators if this keeps going. Okay, finally Francesco goes down. Lasted way too long for this setup that he had here, so very well played by Francesco. But again, Zaka just has too much going for him right now. This is going to be another Pain Risk Grim. It's going to be another set of another very mid-map central hook between all of these active generators, and Zaka can use the Ghoul's mobility to just go back and forth and always be on top of our survivors here. So without wanting to sound too harsh, they kind of need to pull out a miracle here in order to try to see outs.
Yeah, and our second stack of Grim Embrace coming through, so all the generators are blocked. Rez, we saw them stealthing in a tile. Ace, of course, not doing anything either. I think we're getting our inner healing up, actually, and Rez might be the one going for the pull here, while maybe Ace gets pressured. We don't see their POV quite yet, but looks like they are near a very high progress gen, and I say very high, it's barely even 50, but maybe a little bit of wishful thinking or hopeful thinking. And we are going to be checking out the Shack gen. Zaka has quite a bit of information on the state of many of the gens in the trial. A lot of the gens are very low on progress. A lot of the gens are below 50%, and we are getting that made for this tag, or a meant tag, excuse me, onto our Adam here. And Adam just heading towards the shack. We're dropping chase. Maybe Zaka wants to 4k3 here, because it certainly seems like he wants to stop the progress on the Shen, or at least get a tag onto our ace, who is instantly dropping that pallet, playing safe, doing a great job of stopping the bite and playing this palette quite well. He's going to be going around the long side, and I think after a while this might be a hit, but not quite yet, and that doesn't connect.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness. This is same ping. I believe they're both EU teams, so we are going to be getting a bite now, I think. Maybe not actually. The Ghoul. Okay, maybe it is. That was very strange on my screen. But we are going to be getting the injury here, going downstairs perhaps. I think Sprimper is nearly 99, so they might be safe in a second if they do walk for just a millisecond or two, and maybe that's what's going to happen. But no, he is going to be going down over the pallet, so that will be another stage on the board, another Grim Embrace stack as well. And if we do have a Pain Res nearby, that too. So just so much pressure for the killer here.
Yeah, that a bit of an unfortunately timed double back. A very common way to outplay the Ghoul in chase is to try to double back when you know he's about to try to use his momentum to go right on top of you. However, it did not really work out for Francesco in that situation. Sorry, for existing in that situation. So again, I think the big difference we're seeing here between this game and last is that every single hook location that Zaka has had has just been brutal for the survivors. And it really goes to show you just how much that matters. Having a lining... Oh my god, and he finds the savior in res. We could be looking at a 4k3 right now if he's able to successfully get this down before Francesco can rotate to get this unhook. Has this gold palette here to play with, however. Can easily be vaulted over though. Does Res know how to revolt? No! So unfortunate, so very close. We are going to be able to get this hook here, but it's probably going to be a trade if I'm not mistaken. And Zaka coming in from the sidelines. Yeah, just going to get this down now onto Francesco. Never mind, no, just switching right back to existing here as he goes to get this another bite onto him. And again, but this is such a difficult situation for our survivors to play along. Zaka is going to refresh this hook, this very, very brutal hook that he has. That's going to be 4th stack of Grim as well, actually. Painless Grim coming in once more. Immediately slingshotting right onto existing there. Gets the down. Can comfortably slug this. Francesco needs to make a play happen. And it's going to be just absolutely crazy irregardless. But yeah, the 4k3 looks inevitable right now, Jules.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, and I mean, we do kind of know the whereabouts of Francesco. We know that they were working on this gen earlier, at least, or we're at least in the area, and yeah, the terror radius is growing ever closer. We do, I think, spot our Adam over at the shack, gonna be getting the vault. That does not connect, but Zaka did swing for it, and once again playing this bottom middle pallet, but he doesn't want to play the pallet. He wants to get to a little bit more of a safe tile, which is this maze tile over at 3, and doing a good job of blocking that that dash. Zaka on his final chase, Francesco on his final chase as well, and we are going to swing through the pallet. That is a 4k3. I believe none of the survivors in the trial have Unbreakable, and Adam did not use his plot twist, so that will be the end. Deli, like you said earlier, just not allowed on the set, but an excellent showing from Zaka, who, like I said earlier, I haven't seen too many Ghoul sets from Elysium, but they really showed up here, and getting the ace POV to end off the trial.
Fantastic ace POV. That is the face you make when Zaka's Ghoul is right on top of you. Yeah, I understand, Ace. I understand. Yeah, Zaka, incredibly well played. I mean, mechanically, he was just on top of it. All his slingshots landed. He managed to keep himself enraged on most of the trial. But I really do believe the biggest difference we saw was hook placement. And hook placement is so important on Killer. The whole idea of being able to align something you want to protect with what the survivors want to do. So putting the hooks in the active generators if you can, and then now survivors have to worry about 2 things in the same area, and you can just be there and stop it, especially if you have a killer with map pressure like the Ghoul that can just slingshot all over the place. Then yeah, it becomes a very big problem. And that is what I think we have such a drastic difference in result here. That and that Hope's tunnel out chases were not really going the best, unfortunately. He found himself after his first hook immediately going down without even being able to use his exhaustion, couldn't get on the long side of a good pallet, and then third chase as well. No real help coming in from his team, couldn't really pull it off in the end. Ended up with a very fast tunnel out, pretty much with 4 gens remaining. And then after that, good hook after good hook after good hook just ensured that Zaka just had all the pressure all the time, could not get anything changed up.
Yeah, that was just rough. I think the tunnel out, like you said, coming through at 4 generators was kind of what sealed the deal as well. And then the 3v1, I think tags were coming through a little bit too fast. The chases were a little bit too fast as well. Hook locations, like you said, just the nail in the coffin. And I think think we saw at the beginning of the game, we were mentioning a little bit of stealthing out Corrupt, but I actually liked what the survivors did even more, is which stealthing a little bit towards the generators, or moving up the map slowly rather, but they still did get on gens before Corrupt was over. We saw a little bit of progress at 11 when we went to check. Never found the survivor there, I don't think, but we do at least know that the survivors were working their way towards the generators so that they could be on gens instantly if somebody did get found while trying to stealth, and that is essentially what happened, but the gens just didn't come through fast enough. It seemed like maybe a good plan, but I think the chase, like you said, just a little bit too fast. And it's just, like we said, this map can be a little bit brutal for M1 killers, for Ghoul, if you don't find the filler pallets in time, if you're playing in the wrong area, maybe if you're stuck at the shack, perhaps sometimes there's just not too many pallets to connect into, not too many resources to get to, and that is exactly what happened.
Now, this play right here is something that sets killers apart, though, that I want to jump in real quick and point this out. Because we do see what happens here. Francesco allows Zaka to get on the pallet, and the moment he does, he takes full advantage of it, and is now trying to close the gap as best as he can to make it so, I mean, either he might be second bloodlust here, but considering how fast this chase ended, how quickly this chase ended, he was trying to mind game Francesco here with just double packing a million times over and over, trying to catch him off guard just that one time, and he immediately takes advantage of it. And I just want to point out that this is one of the mechanical highlights I saw by Zaka this game. It's this calculated, constant 180-degree turns that are these super frequent turns.
Yeah, Zaka, very well known for his M1 mechanics. Again, he plays mostly favoring M1 killers, and he just has this experience built over a lot of years. And yeah, the use of movement is just so important when you're playing killer, especially at high level. Making pallets like these that are inherently pretty unsafe, even more unsafe. Especially if you get pallet control, you can just keep the survivor guessing, and they don't really ever have an opportunity to go from to leave the area, because simply you could just hold forward and it becomes this mind game of, okay, double back, movement tech, and suddenly the killer's right on top of you before you even realize. That is, yeah, as Mathis pointed out, very powerful mechanic that is available to Zaka. And overall, the Ghoul being an M1 killer has to rely on mechanics like this. Even though you consider the Ghoul to be an M2 killer in terms of, like, if you were to try somebody out for your team, they say you play M2s, you would expect them to play Ghoul also. But yeah, M1 mechanics definitely very useful. And a place where we see M1 mechanics even more than Ghoul is right here on the Oni. We are now loaded in with Zaka on the Oni. Wretched Fate in hand. Okay, I like the perk choice. Not a bad perk choice whatsoever. But as we pointed out earlier before our games even started, Jules, we are on Shelter Woods, and let's see if Zaka is going to have any trouble with this.
Yeah, and yeah, like we said earlier, just gonna be a little bit difficult. I think Zaka looking around for a survivor here. We do have Wretched Fate, but no Obsession in the trial. I think we are gonna be having a restart, maybe a bit of a lag out, but we are gonna be going back into the trial in just a second on the Shelter Woods once again. So yeah, I think I'm not sure if that was a lag out or a penalty or anything like that, but we will see in just a moment. And I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was because the bear skin was banned. So that is going to be a restart for that skin being used in the trial, which is such a shame. It's such an excellent skin with such a unique Mori, but that's all right. I can understand. It's a in the rules, so we will be going back into the lobby. Zaka once again on the killers. That will be a bit of a penalty. So I mean, an even harder penalty to play for, though, because like we said, this is very likely to be a stages result. So we'll have to see about that.
Yeah, definitely. Now, starting off the game with the penalty of half a hook stage is not something you want to, especially when you're not really expected to 4K. But regardless, again, very nice skin, very beautiful skin. We love to look at it. We love to see it in play. However, it is not allowed here at Revival League. So, unlucky, it happens. I'm sure we're going to be seeing the Attack on Titan skin coming out now soon. I think now Zaka must not be happy about it. He's going to be fully locked in, and he's going to be able to make something Very, very interesting happened here for us. Yeah, seeing restarts this often is usually wrong perk, wrong server, or very rarely, like you see in this case, wrong skin. Regardless, I'm sure we will not pay too much mind to it. However, now the survivors are also aware. Oh, not the Attack on Titan skin. Never mind. But yeah, I think our survivors now might be aware of Zaka's build also, so they might even be on the lookout for that wretched fate. Unfortunately, that is just something that happens with restarts. It is unavoidable. So another maybe slight advantage to our survivor side going into this here. And it looks like we're just going to be putting ourselves in good positions as much as possible, while Zaka desperately needs to look around for this first hit. Are they going to try to stealth out Corrupt again? Do we think just no? Okay, even if they were trying to, that's not going to work out, as Zaka is going to find his very first chase here. And we actually ended up in a corner of the map with not the best RNG. Zaka going to be trying to zone that away. However, we do have another filler pallet here. Not the best filler pallet, so Rez was thinking about running away from it for a moment. Wasn't able to do it so in the end. But if he's stuck here, he has no exhaustion to play with. No sprint burst, no life. He has the finesse, so he might be able to get away from this. But Zaka reads the double back and reads it again, winning that situation. Their beautiful movement from Zaka to get such an early first tag. And that is going to be so much momentum on the side of Elysium.
Yeah, and if you do get a first tag like this, you really have to make sure that you don't go down to the M1 as well. You don't want the Oni having too much power when you're on the hook, and our Claudette has managed to find this pallet gem here, but Zaka doing an excellent job of zoning her back up to the unsafe window tile and getting power so fast. We're at 5 gens. We have a little bit of progress. We saw a stacked generator coming through by 2 of our other survivors, but Zaka just choosing to leave, choosing to look for other survivors on the map. This main building generator is going to get Eruption applied onto it, and we are going to be looking for the survivor who was in this area, who I believe was Ace. And looking back over for our injured survivor, who I think is actually in this area. So Zaka, with some excellent game sense, we find our Claudette. We just wanted to apply Eruption, maybe look around to see if any survivors were caught out of position, and back to our injury. So just this might be bad. This might be bad, Volkuz, if we do see Francesco and we are popping power on them. So Adam now playing a jungle gym. I think Zaka has won this mind game. We'll be getting the down now, and now we see that Francesco is the obsession, is our wretched fate survivor. So at least that is looking up for the survivors. We don't have to deal with the effects of wretched fate if Francesco is on the hook. However, we are still at 5 gens, so that will come into play later in the trial. And that Painter is just doing a great job of halting that high progress generator. Rez going to be using inner healing here in this locker, and does Zaka know?
Oh, how? Insane soul read there from Zaka to know exactly what Rez's game plan was there. I guess, yeah, I mean, somehow he knew, he managed to figure it out. And wow, another down here right now. The only good thing Team Oboy has going for them right now is that there's not that much blood on the map. And now Francesco's not going to be bleeding for a little bit longer, so maybe not even leaving any blood under this hook if we're able to get this reset coming through properly. But now, yeah, 2 fresh hooks already. That's another pain res. Maybe Wretched Fate will come into play after the first generator has popped. But now you're in one of the most ideal only situations you could ever be in, which is you have a survivor on the hook and you have power in hand. Being in this position is just so oppressive from Zaka. If there's ever a rotate coming in for the unhook, you can pop power on them and kill them. And if there is ever if they decide not to, then you can just pop power on the hook, confirm that second stage, and go around to pressure the map. So really looking good for Zaka right now after being able to find Rez in that locker. Still crazy how he managed to do that. Yeah, the only problem being now the lack of blood, but while we have power in hand, that it will be a non-issue for quite a bit of time. And Zaka just taking a good position here, being near this active gen, while also being able to look around for the rotations. Anybody coming in for the unhook will be spotted, and you can rest assured Zaka will be popping power on them immediately. I think Team Oboy recognizes this, therefore we're just going to have Francesco committing that generator, making sure that it pops, while then maybe we can get a last second trade, or even maybe let them go to second stage right now. You see the first generator has popped, so now Francesco is going to be affected by the Wretched Fate, taking a 33%, I believe, debuff in his repair and healing speeds. which is very, very unfortunate for Oboy. Res goes second stage. Francesco has popped another gen. So yeah, 3 generators remaining. Survivor on hook has gone second stage. We still have power in hand. And honestly, Zaka knows that that's their entire gen prog now gone. So he might even choose to just hold on to this power to just confirm Res's death. And maybe we will have a 3v1 starting at 2 generators left. Maybe even 3 if Team Oboy isn't able to get their gen efficiency a bit higher.
Yeah, Zaka knows that the survivors were just planning on 3-splitting there. We saw 2 generators pop and went to go investigate a third, which I'm pretty sure Hope was working on. So the survivors were just gambling, 3-splitting, letting Res sit on the hook for as long as possible and try to let them go second, which did happen, but Zaka did manage to stop a 3rd generator from popping. So while also camping the main generator out, that is one thing about Shelter Woods that I didn't touch on earlier, that I didn't even really think about too much, but it is true. There's just so few LOS blockers on this map. You can see across most of the map, Moshaka was just taking full advantage of, managed to catch out any rotations. None of the rotations came through, but if they had, he would have instantly popped power and been there to down the survivor. So excellently played by Zaka. We still have quite a few gens topside that he's very comfortable in keeping, and it looks like Hope has pre-stealthed a bit off this gen, but this is kind of a... I mean, he's right in the corner next to the generator. Zaka doesn't check, though. Gonna be just still patrolling the gens, holding his power, waiting for a survivor to misposition, perhaps, or show themselves. And it's very, very easy to misposition if you are against an Oni in power. He is quite strong and able to down people very easily here. And yeah, all the survivors just playing super, super slow in this 3v1. We still have Wretched Fate, I believe, on Francesco, which will be affecting them now, but... I mean, how many gens do you think they can pop from this? I think we were earlier saying that this is looking like stages out, but at this point, it kind of looks like a 4K.
Yeah, definitely looks like a 4K. Zaka still has power in hand, and we have to also point out he was so confident about Res dying on the hook, or him at least being able to protect it, that he didn't even pop power a few seconds before to really guaranteed it. He was just super confident, held on to his power, and now that's going to pay off for him big time, because the moment he lays eyes onto somebody, and that's going to be a pop power and down, unless they even give him a 3m1, in which case he could tag, because he's going to be lacking blood on the map after this. Even if there was map on the blood previously, it probably has despawned by now, as it takes a long time for the blood to despawn, but it does happen. And now finally gets eyes on a survivor. I believe that's existing on the ace. Gonna have this jungle gym here with the fog vial. Are we gonna be able to make a play happen here, trying to jiggy away towards the shack? I believe that is going to work, but no, the reason that that's gonna work is because we actually saw Hope off from the corner of our eye. Needs to win a mind game right now. Zaka is already there, unable to get neither the pallet break nor the survivor. They're just a bit unfortunate on the angle of the demon dash there. Gonna be continuing this chase now onwards and upwards. And I don't really think Hope has much to do here. Just going to be forced to wrap around this rock. Zaka going to take this quick pickup now. Get another pain res on the board. Whatever gen progress, he knows where it is because he saw existing there on it earlier. And yeah, it's just a lot of pressure. However, now is where the lack of blood is going to come into play. Maybe Zaka will choose to leave some blood orbs below the Hope's hook so he can let his power charge up passively, and then go and get that last bit of blood orb to collect and have the power ready to go. But yeah, until then, he's going to either need another M1 or just catch out somebody out of position, get some blood out of them, have that power ready, and be again in that optimal situation that we spoke about, which is survivor on hook, power in hand.
Yeah, survivor on hook, power in hand, and Zaka just has so much blood now in the 3v1. If Hope comes off the hook, especially too, a lot of this. I mean, to be fair, there's many blood orbs very spread out across the map, so he is going to have to venture out a little bit. Survivors might be able to get a little bit of gen progress for that, but looks like we are playing a little bit more slow, trying to get the unhook, and this generator by Shack is going to pop. However, like we said earlier, most of our gens are topside, so that topside 4 gen, I want to call it, still stands. 3 gen actually. I think it's more of a 3 gen. I think definitely possible to get down to 1 generator, especially given the satellite gen over here that he just has kicked over by 4. And now that we have come off the hook, we do know where 2 survivors are going to be going back towards that unhook, trying to get maybe a tag, maybe a chase, maybe some blood. so extra blood orbs from these unhooked survivors, and looks like he doesn't quite have enough. Very good chance here that he has 99 to his power. Maybe we'll have it in just a second, but we are in chase with our Atom regardless. I think this will be a tag, so it won't really matter anyway, and that will be the Oni power coming back in full force. No decisive allowed on this trial or anything like that, so we do have quite a bit of danger here for Francesco, and we are playing in the main building on this pallet, but I wonder if Zaka wants to play for a 4K too. He does look like he wants to go over to the satellite gen here, maybe look for the survivor who was stealthing. Maybe try to get that extra fresh stage too. And this is a painters, I believe, on our ace. So he is looking in the edge map, Volkuz, and I think he maybe will find him.
If he does that, that's game over pretty much now at this point, finding a survivor. He does actually make it to this jungle gym pallet. I didn't think that was going to be exactly the case. However, yeah, being able to, this Folk Vial is getting mileage right now. We're getting so much value out of it. Again, Zaka not being able to get that audio info from the slight humming that the Folk Vial makes. So unable to get the confirmation onto existing there one more time, bonking into the wall. Never forget what behavior did to old Oni. But now, yeah, Zaka, I feel like he just, unfortunate there one more time. However, I do feel like Zaka, everything he's done has kind of worked out for him here today. Apart from this very chase right now that I'm caster cursing as we speak, everything he has done has worked out swimmingly. So I'm sure he's happy to play aggressive and confidently for this. Wow, again, existing winning another 50-50 situation. They're completely running out Zaka's power. Okay, maybe now this is what Team Oboy needed to get back in the game. If Francesco and Hobo, we can't see on the HUD, unfortunately, right now, have been spending this time on generators, then, oh my god, existing wins another one. Is he going to be able to make it to that pallet if he sends it? I'm not sure. Zaka cutting him off brilliantly. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't make it to the pallet itself, but he's going to be on the short side right now. Sorry, one of the sides. Zaka can definitely out-movement this, and he does so, getting that M1 back. Going to get that precious blood. We see Hope about 80% on a generator. So, yeah, very good ideas overall here. And yeah, everything for Zaka was working out until existing came over from the sidelines and said, no, you don't. Team Oboy are back in this now, so you're going to have to work if you want to get a 4K.
That chase might have been game winning there. Anytime an Oni is run out of power, the game suddenly goes from alright to much worse, though, for Zaka. I mean, getting a tag onto existing at the end there, definitely looking up, but I mean, he has no power now, and these generators are so split, right? There's a gen that popped in the 3 gen, I believe. So now our gens are very far away. They could be further, but still not looking great for an Oni who doesn't have much mobility when he's only an M1 killer at least. And this is a chase onto Hope, I think, existing in the area as well. So that will be a stage onto our fresh if we don't choose to slug, which I believe we are actually looking for another survivor here. And Hope is edge map. Hope is fully edge map, and Zaka has caught on. He is going to be getting that double down here, and this is now looking right back up for him. He has the 2 downs. He has a pain res available. I'm actually a bit surprised he didn't pick up our ace first to try to get that pain res there. It won't matter anyway. It's just a little bit risky, but it won't matter too much. I think that gen is not quite high enough to stop if there is a pain res nearby, but he's actually going to be walking over manually, trying to... Okay, no, he's actually going to get the pickup onto ace, trying to get a pain res. And the question here, is there a pain res nearby, or did Zaka maybe mess up a little bit by not picking up the ace first?
Oh, that is such... And they immediately drops existing back down to the ground. Wow, that is so unfortunate there for Zaka. But yeah, existing did an absolutely incredible job there. As you say, that was pretty much a game-winning chase. We were looking for a 4K2. If we were able to get existing down immediately, either slugged or pain res, that was going to be more likely than not a 4K2 situation. I think we have Francesco now here, but they're not done yet. They say 4K0 is still not good enough for us, so we're going to be trying our absolute best. We have another Folk Vial. 2 Folk Vials in this trial. That is absolutely incredible. And now Zaka convinced that somebody might have gone to force the locker down on the basement, which might be the case. Existing did do that, and now Francesco kind of stuck around just at the shack window. He needs to not take it down here, as that would be quite... Oh, how did he get away with that? How did he get away with that, Francesco? Fantastic play there. Hope is going to be dying on this hook, though. So we're in a 2v1, and we still need to get at least one survivor out of the gates to be happy with this result. Great turnaround from Team Oboy, but they want more. They need more. Can Zaka convert this? No, he can't. Francesco and existing both in Zaka's head, rent-free right now. Finally getting the down onto Francesco. Wow. And now Existing needs to make either a stealth play for a gate or the hatch. Of course, the hatch might be slightly too obvious in the situation, but it's very, very difficult to stealth against the Oni. You're leaving blood orbs all over the place. You have to be very, very careful to not be anywhere in the open. And as you mentioned earlier, Jules, it's this map does not have that many LOS blockers, so I am assuming for Zaka, it will be quite straightforward to find Existing after a while. Maybe not in the beginning. Might take him a few seconds for now, but definitely a lot of time. He will need to go and open an exit gate fully, and I'm sure Zaka will not let that happen. I'm not quite sure where our exit gates are, but no, regardless of that, yeah, it's just looking a bit too much. However, Zaka just decides to pick up Francesco anyway. This allows Existing the time to try to get onto an exit gate. However, it's a bit too close to this hook, and I think Existing realizes there is no more point anymore. Let's have one last chase, and yeah, then we're gonna chalk that down to a 4K0, meaning that Team Elysium is going to need to get out on the survivor side. Let's also remember that there is a half hook stage penalty placed upon Team Elysium for the wrong skin earlier for Zaka, so they will have to at least get out, and perhaps only 11 stages, sort of ideal 10-11 stages for them to get, which is definitely very doable. They just need to have a better start than Team Oboy had, but we have to say Team Oboy really brought it back with Existing on this chase. Even after the tunnel out, even after the early hits, it was all just really superb played from there on out, and that is kind of a masterclass in how to recover a lost early game.
I have to agree, masterclass is just the right word for it. That was incredibly performed by our survivors. Ace there with an excellent chase on a jungle gym. This isn't even a Shelter Woods thing. That was just a jungle gym and a fog vial and a dream. Just played that so well on the corners, just very unpredictable pathing. And Oni, like we said earlier, one of the best, or Zaka, one of the best Onis in the world. He is not to be trifled with. This is not a baby Oni or anything. This is a very high tier survivor versus a very high tier killer, very skillful on both sides, just super unpredictable, super well done. And here we are seeing on the replay what exactly happened in that jungle gym that got us some gen pops. I think maybe even the difference between a 4K2 and a 4K0 there. And it was even looking like outs for just a second if there wasn't just some slightly different things that might have happened in the end game. But yeah, you can see just some misses of power. Zaka missing on the corner there, winning a 50 on Existing's part, and yeah, that flick around the wall just did not connect. Just very, very unfortunate for our Elysium killer. But getting a 4K0, we did say at the beginning this is most likely to be stages. So getting a 4K0 is not bad at all for Zaka. However, I mean, it could be stages, but like you said as well, this is a map with a lot of very bloodlustable palettes, a lot of, I want to say tile dead zones, maybe not dead zones in general, but tile dead zones in some large areas, like around the left side, top left, perhaps top side, and that area between 3 and 4 has quite few filler palettes. So it's definitely possible to get a better result than this. 4K0 is a great result, I think, considering the state of the beginning of that game. How fast that first hit came through, just so well done.
You know, speaking of dead zones, I have to highlight this position that Zaka was holding on this initial hook on Rez. You can see him right here. Just right in the middle. He's shutting down both areas because he's got clear line of sight from his position down to edge map. And he's got his back turned to main building generator, so nobody can work on it. Existing had it progress to 50%, as you both also pointed out during the trial. Nobody can get to the Sano, because the moment he has line of sight, he just pops power. The only thing they could have realistically done is maybe send one person down each road, but the risk would have most likely just been too high, which is why they had to let Rez be sacrificed on this first hook. And yeah, just work on the generators in the meantime. Do you guys think they could have done anything about this? Or Volkuz, what do you think? Is there anything they could have really done, or did they really have to let Rez pass on here?
I mean, normally I can completely understand sometimes letting your survivor go second stage. Letting your survival go straight to death is very, very risky indeed. I think that's not a play they necessarily might have wanted to make at the time. That was definitely a play that Zaka forced onto them. They felt forced to be in this situation. If they had a bit more gen progress, then yes, maybe it would have been a more logical play per se, but I didn't really think they were in the position to do that. However, Zaka picked the absolute best position he could have had on the map to camp out that hook. However, maybe even an edge map crouch completely around the longest way possible would have been an option, or maybe run in at an opportune time to try to at least get a 1-for-1 for it, but then Zaka would just still be in power And after that 50-second BT, even if he gets tagged, you're just going to be in a bad situation. So you're not actually saving any time or pressure. The only real way to get res off of this unhook would just be to have a very, very stealthy unhook happen in place. I think there is a little channel, maybe there is a little wall I see that Zaka could go, maybe not see if you were to cross behind. Yeah, that little open space there is lethal, but there is a chance that you simply don't see it. If there's not a crow there, I think that's just something you have to do. If they had more gen progress, maybe understandable, but since they don't really have the gen progress, letting your first survivor die, not ideal. You may just have to risk it, and at the end you send the trade if it happens, because again, by all means, if it wasn't for existing, that definitely should have been a 4K situation. But alas, hey, it looks like no matter how it went, I think Team Oboy calculated their ideas very, very well.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, just so much of that game was back and forth, looking very, very rough. With that first tag, I believe Claudette had the weakest perks there. I think she only had Finesse as her only chase perk, and then had on Quick and Quiet and Inner Healing there. And the Finesse just didn't really work, just caught out in a very bad spot at the start of the game. Some very unsafe filler pallets, and then we had a window gem connecting them. So just not much to work with, and that's kind of what you have to do on Oni. You have to position yourself very safely at the start, pre-run, rely on your survivor teammates' comms, and utilize your exhaustion perks, which Claudette could not do, of course, there. And yeah, finding out the survivor with the weakest exhaustion, definitely a plus. Finding them out in a dead zone guarantees a hit there eventually, especially with Bloodlust building. And yeah, I mean, that elimination came through at 3 gens, was looking incredibly rough, and our survivor teammates pulled out a masterclass in the 3v1, just excellently played in chase, excellently played in macro, and even though with a rough start, having a good middle game and late game, I think is really what sets teams apart, just not letting your mental get a little bit too low. So just very, very well done, I think.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, the mental aspect is something that we talk about, but I don't think we pay enough attention to in competitive DBD overall. Very, very easy for your mental to slip, and then no matter how well you have the idea in your head of want to play, or however well the rest of your team's mental might be, if you have one survivor whose mental is just down in the dumps, then it just becomes so difficult. It brings the energy down, and you always need to be playing for best result in mind in DBD. You cannot be allowing yourself to play for anything else. You always need to go for the best. And now we have Opka on the Oni loading in here for Team Oboy. Opka, very experienced player in M1 situations, very good M1 killer mechanics here, has a lot of experience in 1v1 in ladder in general, so understandable that we would be bringing him forward to play the Oni. We also see he has brutal strength, so definitely thinking about the map that he's playing on. Zaka immediately finding himself in a chase in slightly a poor area here. Is this a dead zone kinda? Do we have this filler pallet? Yeah, we only have this filler pallet, but incredibly early first hit here, and Zaka has to run into Kobj also, so I think Opka will simply be choosing to grab this blood and then going off to pressure the map. Opka pretty much needs to 4K here, so doesn't really have the luxury of playing too slow. Definitely needs to get blood and early game pressure. The brutal strength will help in these M1 situations though. Finds Pedro HZ on the TNL, not exactly the best style here, just gonna kick this gen while Pedro is kind of zoned, maybe then try to cut him off, but Pedro kind of pre-run very well. Opka didn't really do the best cut-off maneuver, didn't really do the best zoning there to stop him from reaching a different area, and yeah, that becomes uncommittable. The reset onto Zaka has come out at this point. I'm sure Kobj was nearby for that, and if we have enough blood here, this is still a good situation. Yes, we do. That is just enough blood for Opka to then be able to go and find a fresh survivor, pop the power onto them, and if he's not unable to get an M1, yeah, he's gonna pop the power here onto Kobj, who has decently RNG to play, sends it away from the Pallet Gym, straight to the Shack, doesn't want to mess around whatsoever, has the light, wants to proc it immediately, and has the Shack to play with. Gonna be very important, tries the double back here, but unfortunately Opka expecting it perfectly, great read there, and that is gonna be the first down coming out. Pretty satisfactory early game, and especially if we can convert onto Pedro here, this would be absolutely huge. Oh my god, Jules, we are in trouble right now.
We are in trouble indeed, I think. 2 downs, slugging a little bit risky there. I think also a tiny bit risky to leave the survivor with a medkit. That was how Zaka got healed, by the way. He did have a medkit in his hand and used it instantly, but it seemed to pay off. He got his blood back in time, got fully powered there, and that is a reset fully onto Kobje, by the way. He gets picked up, fully reset at Shack by a teammate. So we are fine for now. It seems like survivors have picked themselves up a little bit, gotten some resets on the board, and maybe even trying to get the pull. We have ventured out quite far away from the hook, so that pull is technically free, especially with the Blast Mine coming through to get that little bit of downtime for the killer, but they are most definitely going to go straight back to the hook. I do not think we have time to reset, and I think our survivors know this as well, but looks like they're kind of looking in the wrong area. I believe Pedro is over on the left side, but we are honing in on their location. Looks like we have found our Renato first, though. And are going to be taking chase on this kind of unsafe filler palette. We don't have the best exhaustion perk. It is smash hit, so trying to get a stun here perhaps, and Tech going to be greeting it, maybe playing for a better stun in just a second. And we do actually get it. That's smash hit getting us a little bit of distance, but he actually just stays at this palette, going to be going over to the TL, where a little bit less safe here. He's kind of in the corner of the map. This is with the proper amount of bloodlust, essentially a guaranteed hit unless we chain into a nearby resource, and looks like that will be a hit coming through now, but not without some gen progress on the board.
Yeah, very mind gameable tile there. Tech will you will always eventually get hit in that situation. But can we really point out how fast that recovery was with the 2 slugs? How quick was that rotation from Team Elysium to be able to pick up Kobje so fast and get him reset? Superb. I really thought that was going to result in a much bigger problem for Team Elysium than it actually did, but they seem to have it all under control. However, now Opka has the power in hand, is able to get control of the main gen also. I'm sure he put that eruption on there even if you couldn't see it. Yeah, I think he did. And now free to commit Zaka here, who he does find over here by this filler palette. Yeah, this is a very awkward filler palette. Even though it's very unsafe M1 wise, having to play around this with M2 killers can be very challenging and difficult if you want to be using your power without breaking it. Zaka, great send from him, wins 150 on there, and is going to be able to make it to the shack, gets that stun. Precious time being bought in chase right now, and all the time that in which Opka's power is being run out, there is a very big plus for Team Elysium's survivor side. If Opka doesn't get this power here, he's not going to have another one on the map, and he needs to try to make something happen right now. Probably only has the 1 chance or 2. Yes, okay, he's able to get Zaka down. Power pretty much, yeah, power completely run out. However, survivors that go straight from healthy to down are not able to get to leave any blood apart from the few orbs that they will leave under their hook. So again, challenging situation, but we do see is that Kobje running off the sidelines here. Pain Res does come out indeed, and now we have Tech. Yeah, that was Tech, not Kobje, perhaps. Sorry, my eyes deceive me. Tech being seen again here, has a lot of distance to play around with, so Opka maybe not even willing to let that happen, as he might believe this to be bait to get the free unhook here. Needs now we're again on the hunt for blood. We have a survivor on the hook, but we do not have the power in hand, so need to make it happen somehow. And as you can already see, Elysium doing already knows how to play this. They have the game plan set in stone, pre-run, pre-leave, make resources, and watch Opka cry, because simply he can't leave this hook too much. He has no mobility, he doesn't want to give free pull, and yeah, it's just putting Opka in a very difficult situation right now.
Yeah, and this is the difference between this game and the last game. We don't have a tunnel out, really. We have 2 separate survivors hooked, and many of our gens are very far away from the hook as well. There's not really a 3 gen by the hook. There's 1 gen that was a little bit higher on progress, but it looks like, yeah, Opka just going to be depleting the resources around and making this essentially a dead zone. I believe Shack Pallet was already dropped. There's 2 fillers nearby that was already dropped in the TL, providing the only safety in this radius. And we are going to be camping Zaka to second, but not without quite a bit of gen progress across the board. Looks like Tech is the one hovering for the pull. We do have 2 gens popped, and this main building gen is also quite high on progress. So really need to worry about that now. If we do choose to commit Zaka for that tunnel out, I'm a little bit worried that these gens might pop, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. That Opka just doesn't really have the map pressure right now. Zaka comes off the hook, but yeah, exactly. Opka, there's just nothing he can do about it. He needs to stay focused on Kobje here. He needs to get a tag coming in. Is he going to swing for this? No. Recognizes that he doesn't really have the space. Opka, however, getting mind game slightly here. He's going to be giving over the M1, even through the life. Didn't really manage to get to his check spot in time and react appropriately. So now Opka going to be taking his power, going to be bringing it to Zaka, who is, yeah, definitely getting reset by the Shack. Opka should know where that is. However, is that really the place where he wants to be focusing his efforts on? We see Pedro HZ on the generator, about 40% progress there, and this is all about gen split right now. If Opka can find a comfortable gen split to hold, he does seem to have one around here, but again, Pedro HZ has already put a lot of pressure on it, and yeah, I think he's making the right choice right now. Correct to just completely ignore Zaka and try to get a hit or attack onto Pedro HZ, who has completely bamboozled him with that Champion of Light flashlight there, managing to run off to this pretty safe, what used to be a god filler, now just a pretty strong filler palette. And yeah, Opka simply having to leave again, but now this is risky because that was guaranteed pressure onto Pedro HZ. Now we have to go out and look for somebody. We need to find somebody, whether it be a rotation or working a gen, and we need to decide whether we can afford to pull power on them immediately. We see scratch marks, knowing that somebody has been here, but yeah, everybody healthy right now. So after this power, if Opka isn't able to get a big boost in blood, it's going to be very difficult, and that's what Only's all about. It's about blood management in the end. Finds Kopje again in chase, but chooses to rotate off to him. Fights Pedro HZ, who has that Champion of Light ready and in play for him. Opka listening out very closely, listens out perfectly actually for Pedro, and is able to track him down. Beautifully done, getting that down immediately. Again, used up a bit of his power there. We don't know exactly how much due to spectator bugs, so it depends how it's going to look from now on, whether he's going to have the blood available to him to replenish another power and be in a good spot.
Yeah, but look at these generators. They're so high on progress. Looks like Kopje is the one pressuring out that main building gen, which has been kicked quite a few times. Zaka rotating for the unhook, and we do have the life perk, which provides a little bit of safety on this window. It looks like he is going to win that, making it away without getting tagged there and heading straight back to the gen. Yeah, look at these gens. There's one gen remaining, and both of them are so high on progress. Zaka working on this one over here. I just don't know if it's possible to stop them both with the survivors playing so aggressive on these gens. We aren't even chasing on the generator that has the most progress, I don't think. Zaka is very okay. That's also a blood. That's just another.
What a brutal perk.
Yeah, just brutal.
How awful does it feel to get hit by Blast Mine, especially in a time-sensitive situation like this? And yeah, I mean, that is pretty much going to be guaranteed Elysium that is going to be taking this set and coming up 2-0 against Oboy here today. I'm not going to say it just, I'm not going to call it, because you never know what could happen, and then we could get a 4-man slug. And 4k0 would actually be enough because of the penalty, so for Elysium to actually lose this point completely, and Oboy takes it, bringing in 1-1, but yeah, we have a gate already open. Too little, too late. We just need one stage out the door pretty much, and that is going to be a win. We find Kopje, but yeah, just weren't able to really get a tunnel out plus map pressure. We had pressure on a tunnel out, but we just didn't have overall map pressure here. We see Zaka, he's around here. Maybe he's going to have another little moment here, trying to pick up Kopje. I'm assuming Tech is safe and out, but yeah, regardless of how that happens from now, yeah. Oh, Kopje even getting picked up successfully, dropping Pedro HZ down on the ground. We don't want any more of that. Gonna go after Opka, but yeah, this is all just the end of a formality, and Opka knows it. This is gonna be the end. I mean, I think Opka really did try his best. Like, he didn't really have particularly any bad moments, but yeah, very well played by Elysium. Was able to get the upper hand here today. Yeah, let's just get that one stage out of the door so I can announce our result. Pretty please, boys. Thank you. Come on. Where is it? Zaka playing for the hatch, of course. Okay, one last little attempt. Buy some time, go for the hatch. Why not have some fun at the end of the trial? So get just one stage out the door, guys. Just one stage. Come on, humor me. Just a bit. No, Pedro. Pedro, no. Never mind. Blood points are very important in this custom game. We of course need to get them through. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're just wasting a little bit of time for the sake of it. It seems right now, as Elysium has this game pretty much figured out in the bag, which means that they are going to be progressing over to the other round. !challenge in the chat for you all to see, and they will be facing Seirin in the round 2. So another big game for them to look forward onto. And yeah, unfortunately, this will be bringing Oboy down to the losers bracket here of Revival League, and their opponent will be yet to be determined. But yeah, for now we're just literally just messing around with Opka. Yeah, Tech has gone out the door. Okay, I can officially announce it. Thank you. Elysium was won. Congratulations to Elysium. Very well played. But honestly, I really like what I saw from Oboy here today.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. That was very excellently played. This was a lot closer on the Oni, especially given the first tags came through both so fast and in the same spot as well. Zaka getting tagged instantly, it felt like. But throughout the trial, they just did an excellent job of denying pressure from that power. A lot of the powers were essentially, I don't want to say wasted, but didn't get as much. And just very well done, just denying any sort of pressure, dying in the correct spots. We did die on top of some generators a couple of times, but it didn't seem to matter too much for the Survivor team. They had other gens high progress, really working out for them quite well, and this was Elysium's pick, I believe. Yeah, Oni on the Shelter Woods was Elysium's pick, and we saw as well in the endgame, Kubje using Light 3 times back to back. It felt like, and Vigil just proving to be the the kicker there and really helping him get his life back constantly. And yeah, like we said, these Survivor perks in this balancing is much stronger. So even getting a 4K in this rule set is very impressive, I think, for our previous killer, and just did an excellent job. Zaka did an excellent job getting that 4K, getting that fast tunnel out, getting that early hit for both killers, and I have no notes.
Yeah, no, very well put in, Jules. Yeah, overall, I think great performances. You expect to see stages out the door on Shelter Woods only. Again, Zaka picked it because they are confident, because Zaka has a lot of experience on this killer. Confident that he's going to be able to see past the obstacle that this map provides. And yeah, but it looked like he was very prepared also for it. He understood that he could really catch off rotations. And especially, I think what has impressed me the most here today about Zaka is that his game sense in terms of selecting the correct hook and playing around the camp situation, playing around the pressure that a well-placed hook creates, is just absolutely masterful. So very amazing to see. Again, I like what I saw from Oboy. They had good altruistic ideas. They had great game sense ideas overall. And see, that's quite the funny clip you can see on stream. I don't know what was happening in Opka on Opka's screen right there. The Oni was just kind of skedaddling around your screens just for a second there. Then many Scooby-Doo moments have already happened here in Revival. Like, what is that? He's creep walking down the set. I don't know what Opka's doing. And he made it fun. He made it a little bit of a joke for us here at the end. Hopefully we'll get a chuckle out of that. But yeah, well played to both teams. Congratulations to Elysium for advancing. And Oboy, we'll be looking forward to seeing you in the losers bracket.
Yeah, as we're finishing up with the 2 final clips we have on the replay, I feel this game could have tipped over very quickly. Opka did have such a fantastic early game, but wasn't able to profit from it whatsoever. Because even if you end up getting 2 down super quickly into the trial, you can't carry both survivors at the same time to that hook. You kind of have to decide which one to pick, and that just opens up a window of opportunity for your opponents to get the pickup in the meantime. So 2 downs can become 1 down very quickly. But of course, on the other hand, it would exhaust another survivor, force him to run over to this pickup instead of doing gens. But yeah, the gen split by Elysium was so fantastic. Also, the fact Pedro was able to defend this generator in the corner is ludicrous. We've seen 2 attempts here, one with this Champion of Light play that we saw, that allowed him to escape fully. Opka expected him to stay on this tile, but Pedro just skipped it and managed to escape. We only had one other situation where it happened, when Pedro was also able to get the blind through that pallet, and then tried to run into him, but yeah, Opka just listened very closely, and there was absolutely no chance for him to escape that time. Opka did get the injury that time around, but it was unfortunately way too late in the trial that it didn't matter any longer. And yeah, they just had too much gen pressure. I believe they probably repaired a good 7 gens this game, it looked like, at least, with how many times they've put generators to a good 80%, lost almost half the progress on it, but they also just had 6 at the very end, when 1 generator was remaining, they had 2 generators ready that were about to pop. So I feel like the startup could have gone either way, but then Elysium's gen split was just too dominant. What do you think, Volkuz?
I mean, you've put it very well. Yeah, the gen split, very important on this map. Yeah, even though you have the information, you know what might be happening. If you can't really get that, capitalize off of your map pressure and your potential tunnel out and chase locations, or not even because you played poorly, simply because the survivors are doing such a good job of defending their position and being really ironclad in the way that they're pre-running you, in the way that they are thinking and approaching the set mentally, and how their preparation and experience was really shining through, then it becomes quite difficult. It's very, very difficult for Opka. Maybe I think even if Zaka was on in Opka's shoes in that situation, it would still be a difficult point to be in. We had two separate tunnel outs that were potentially going on. However, as you said, you can only carry one survivor, and the hook locations, just the chase locations, were good by Ellie. So Opka could just never go back to make it to that very important 3v1, which is definitely a requirement if you're planning to 4K either 1 or 0, which would have been enough. However, yeah, I mean, maybe not so much of a requirement, but definitely a very, very big part that you need to be thinking of. Not being able to get to that spot is detrimental. Early survivors always being on their tiptoes, ready to leave any potential situation. Having that blast mine in hand, having the champion of light in hand by Pedro, who was making a great play with it. Yeah, I mean, just overall, super. I have no idea. If I was in Opka's shoes, I have no idea how I would approach this to try to get a 4K, even from that start, when the survivors just seem to be so practiced and aware.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much. Are there any finishing thoughts that you have on the game, Jules?
I mean, yeah, that I think you touched on it perfectly there. That was just the gen spread was a little bit too wide, and getting downs in that one generator over by Shack, which was great, but it was so far away from a lot of the other gens that we had progress on. I think maybe we just have to venture out a little bit further. I think we definitely overcamped while the other survivors were just splitting generators, which is so hard. It's such a hard call to make in the moment. It's so hard to know what to do there. But given the win con, given we had to get a 4K there, we just couldn't allow the survivors to get pressure on those further gens, and that is exactly what happened. But very unfortunate for the Oboy killer. They definitely had a shot there with that early first tag. I think maybe could have brought it back, but the powers were on point. I think we got power downs nearly every time we popped our power, and we even got a double down at one point. That was almost the swing that we needed in favor of the killer, but did not come through. Like we said, we got the pickup very fast. Some reset breaks are allowed on a set, and I believe that might have helped a little bit as well. But regardless, Oboy will be going into the next bracket against Serene. We have already decided on Petroleum versus Mercy and Onyx versus Sinners, and then tomorrow I will be back, I think, with Cyber, who you've already met earlier in the weekend, and that will be the deciding matchup between Umbrella and Invictus to see who goes on to meet X9 in round 2 of the bracket. I believe that is also available as if we do exclamation point bracket in the chat, so you can look at the bracket for yourself, but there is a little bit of a shorter tournament here. We have only 4 main rounds and then another one for the losers bracket. Some losers bracket activities. We will be going for a double elimination tournament here, so that will be exciting. A little bit of a longer tournament for our first experimental tournament overall. So love to be casting it, but tomorrow, stay tuned. We'll see who is the final winner of round 1.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Jules. Exactly. Tomorrow we have Invictus versus Umbrella, and the killers are as follows. Umbrella picked Mastermind on Core Tower 1, so that is the one exception I made to the pool. Mastermind, Core Tower 1 is just such a classic. I didn't want to omit it from the killer pool, and if the team so decided that they really want to play on this OG map, then so be it. Set number 2, picked by Invictus, Nightmare on Temple of Purgation, and our tiebreaker will be Spirit on a map you may not have seen in 4 years, or a map that used to only be used in comp, yeah, a good, not even 4 years, I want to say over half a decade ago, Mother's Dwelling. So, huge map. However, of course, with Spirit in mind, it's one of those maps where the footsteps are supposed to be relatively loud, because Mother's Dwelling is a rainy, sort of, I want to say swampy map, where the footsteps are very, very audible, very easy to hear. Same goes for Pale Rose and Grim Pantry. And then also Ormond Lake, or one of the Mount Ormond resort maps are also in the pool. But yeah, the bot that we use to randomize the tiebreaker decided to go with Spirit and Mother's Dwelling. So I personally would really love to see this, because Mother's Dwelling is a severely underrepresented map in competitive duty. That is going to be it for tomorrow's match. We'll be here at exactly 8:30 CET. So in, calculate this real quick, -2, 22 hours-ish. Yes. Okay, I can't do math. Hang on the spot. 2.5 hours, that's 21 hours and 30 minutes. There we go. That's when the game starts. Okay, cool. With Invictus and Umbrella. But yeah, first of all, Jules, are there any finishing thoughts you would like to share? Anything you want to mention, shout out, etc.?
Yeah, shout out you guys for that excellent production. It's been really fun. I think I mentioned it earlier, but these graphics are so good. I'm a big fan. And that's not me patting myself on the back. I did none of this. This was all of our artists. I think Pikz did some of it, right?
Yes.
I don't know. And there's,
Most of it, yes.
I mean, of course, there's plenty of people involved in production, but a lot of the art is Pikz.
Well, yeah, especially with the 3D assets. But he's also available here every day to create these on the go. We're not using bots or web or widgets to insert these images. Pikz does this by hand every day, so obviously this is mostly already pre-rendered, and then he just replaces the pictures, but make sure they're spot on, perfect. It's so much better than, and also just higher quality production than just dragging and dropping it in, because we have so many transitions on screen, so you would need to envelop them somehow in the project, somehow design it in properly, make sure it fits, etc., etc. Yeah, thank you very much, Jules, for, I mean, come on, if one of my casters says it, then you guys all in chat better, in the audience, better agree. But yeah, thank you very much. And Volkuz, what about you?
I mean, again, I'm going to double down. Actually, I want to glaze even harder. In fact, I think we have some of the best production I've seen in competition.
The best.
The best. I want to say. Only reason I'm saying some because I haven't seen them all. So I don't know. Maybe there was some graphic designers moving crazy back in the day that is before my time. They were doing crazy things. But yeah, here our revival divisions, we are looking absolutely stylish. Yes, I do also love our replay features, and with chance we get to talk about over that. Much more interactive, I feel, than a lot of just in between time where it's kind of difficult as casters to find what to talk about sometimes. But here we always have something to refer back to, so that makes my life much easier, and I believe that makes it more entertaining for you, everybody at home. To sign off, I will just say, please continue to support us, continue supporting CompTBD. Yes. Be very, very excited, because I am very jealous that I'm not casting tomorrow on Umbrella versus Invictus. That is definitely one of the most, even if not the most hyped up
round
matchup.
One.
Yeah, crazy. That is just insane. So only one team will remain on the winner brackets, and we actually arguably have two of the top teams in the world right now. Especially with Umbrella picking Mastermind is also interesting to me. So they definitely have something up their sleeve there, and I just cannot wait to see it. And that is all for me.
Thank you very much, Volkuz. Yes, this is now the round of appreciation, because it's obviously not just us three here. You've already mentioned Pikz, our head designer, lead artist, who's bringing you most of what you see on screen. But yeah, besides that, we've also had Maxolotl and Trikz here in the background moderating the team versus channels, or the team channels, communicating with the teams, because we've got our hands plentiful on stream here. They've been setting up the lobbies, making sure everything works. Same with Milay, she's been overseeing it, one of our main members of the head staff team as well, and then Wolfi for chat moderation. Fluffy here for the, who does the Discord bots. So, yeah, our teams all use bots to do picks and bans, etc. He's the magician in that regard. The live scoreboard is brought to you by Floliroy, and in cooperation with Pikz, because obviously Pikz does the design, but Flo is bringing us all the web integrations that you see on stream. So big shout out, gotta acknowledge everybody who's working on this, because it's definitely not just the owner, not just the host, in other words me. But yeah, there's a big team working on this behind the scenes, and I'm eternally grateful for everybody who's putting their heart and soul into production and making sure everything works just fine. But yes, before we tune out, of course, socials. We have Discord, we have YouTube, and I'm very grateful that my casters also keep mentioning this. Yes, !bracket, !YouTube, !Discord. It's all in the chat. Please do take advantage of the commands we provide you with, because it just makes everything so much easier. And we have been multi-streaming this the entire time to YouTube, so if you want to see the VOD and you're not a big fan of navigating on Twitch, then do head on over to YouTube. Everything is there available the moment I hit the stop streaming button. So thank you everybody very much for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow again, 8:30 CET, Invictus versus Umbrella. Most likely a first ever that these two teams meet in the higher bracket round 1, meaning either Invictus or Umbrella will have their second round, or weekend number 3, because we do start the lower bracket in 2 weeks only. They'll start in the lower bracket of round 1, which I don't think has ever happened, because typically these teams always get paired with weaker opponents, so that to make sure that they meet only in the finals to create more hype, etc. But yes, we want to embrace the chaos. And do keep in mind again, I'm very happy that everything's being glazed so badly, because yeah, despite even though we are perfectionists, this entire tournament is more of a practice run. The main event will begin in August, so once this tournament ends, stay tuned for large announcements that are to come, but I'm gonna have to keep you on your toes for a couple more weeks until we make any announcements with regards to that. But yeah, anyway, thank you very much everybody for watching, and we'll be back tomorrow. Stay tuned, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.